Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Chris Thorne, great with you all again. Appreciate seeing all of you here today. I really have an honor today to be joined by Shawn Henry and JC Herrera of the amazing company CrowdStrike that we are really proud at HireMilitary to be partnered with to use the DoD Skill Bridge program. But we're here today really to talk about the amazing company that is CrowdStrike and hear a little bit more about them, hear more about what they do if you're not familiar with them, hear about some career opportunities, and really the thing I love talking about, which is veteran career opportunities and what an amazing team that CrowdStrike has for supporting veteran hiring and bringing new veterans on board. So, thank both of you for spending the time here today. I really, really appreciate that. Shawn Henry is the president of Services Division and the chief security officer for CrowdStrike. So really just a great person to have with us to talk about this today. And JC is the chief human resources, CHRO, for CrowdStrike. Again, two really great guests to have. Appreciate both of your time here today. So, if you don't mind, Shawn, I'll just go ahead and lead in and open with you. And I'd love to hear a bit about you and sort of your role as the president of the Services Division and CSO and your path to CrowdStrike that brought you here.
Well, thanks, Chris. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to the many veterans who are either about to transition or have already transitioned out of the service. My time at CrowdStrike actually began in 2011 when the company was just starting. I had the CEO of the company who had come to me and was looking for somebody with my background to come into the company to help really take on this important mission of identifying adversaries who are trying to hack into major corporations, government agencies, academia, and to help stop them. My background had been in the FBI. I spent 24 years there. I retired as executive assistant director of the FBI, and in that capacity, I was responsible for half of the FBI's operations globally, which included all criminal investigations and cyber investigations, as well as critical incident response. So coming from the government sector into the private sector, for me, was a bit of a transition, as it is for many of my colleagues, but I would imagine not unlike career military folks who are trying to move over to the private sector. From my perspective, it was really all about the mission. What I was doing in the FBI was helping to protect good people from bad things. And I came to the private sector and I got to do essentially the same thing, where we're helping companies around the globe protect themselves from nation states and organized crime groups and hacktivist groups and terrorists. Again, not unlike what I was doing in the government in terms of the mission set. So it was a great transition for me. I'm in my 9th year now at CrowdStrike, and things have been going well. I'm certainly fulfilled as I was in my prior life, and it's been a great honor to be at CrowdStrike, working with great professionals like JC and many of the men and women who are former military who are now on our rolls.
Wow, what an impressive background and career coming into CrowdStrike, and really that long of service with the FBI at that level. I have to imagine that your transition from FBI federal service into the commercial sector probably mimics in a lot of ways what military members experience as they come out of that government environment and into the commercial. So I love that experience background you can bring and really how that relates. So JC, I'm a human resources person, so I can't help it. I always have some love for my human resources, and to have someone like you as a chief human resources officer for such a great company join us, I'm really glad for that. And I'd love to hear a little bit for everyone out there about your path into CrowdStrike and what brought you here.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chris. And so I've been at CrowdStrike coming up on 6 months, so relatively new to the company. I have admired it for a while now. But close to 10 years in cyber, right? It is a passion of mine. I think it's not very often you get a chance to talk about working for a company that's the good guys and the good guys versus bad guys equation, right? Similarly to kind of Shawn's thoughts on why this is such a cool thing, a great industry, great company, and the rest. And I'd always built a career in HR. I was lucky enough in university where we had access to a lot of great HR executives who would be coming in, and they were the folks that were grading our presentations at the time. And I really started to take an interest in the human side of things in terms of how do you motivate and how do you attract talent and how do you develop that talent so that you can help people build the best careers in their lives. And so that part of it for me, having the ability to piece all that together and then do it for a company that is an amazing company and does a lot of good for our customers. It's kind of my path to being an HR leader, and to get a chance to work with folks like Shawn and his team on a daily basis is just, it's the cherry on top, I think, in what we do.
Well, it's awesome. And, as you and I were talking about before, I think there are so many transitioning service members who have a passion for the human resources field. Hopefully we'll be able to connect some of them with you through this or after this to really have somebody that might be able to talk to as a bit of a mentor or somebody to bounce some things off. So I really appreciate having you here. So, Shawn, as much as I love CrowdStrike, I love the brand, I love the partnership, and I love everything that we're doing. The truth is there may be some service members out there who just, they don't have a familiarity with the company and sort of the products and services. So do you mind giving us just a little bit of a quick overview? What is CrowdStrike? What's it all about? And sort of where does it fit into the global cyber market?
Absolutely, Chris. Thanks. So CrowdStrike is a cyber security company, cyber technology company, and our role is specifically stopping breaches, stopping companies or adversaries from hacking into organizations, companies that are in every single sector you can imagine. So financial services, manufacturing, transportation, communications, all those companies that adversaries want to get into. They want to get in because those companies have important intellectual property that would be valuable, or they've got personally identifiable information that they can use for financial gain, or they want to disrupt a company for some reason. You've heard about ransomware likely, and these are the companies that are suffering when their servers get locked up, their data is encrypted, and they can't move forward, they can't conduct their day-to-day operations. We're seeing hospitals today under the coronavirus umbrella that organized crime groups are sending ransomware into and locking those hospitals up so they can't operate, they can't function, knowing that the hospitals will have to pay a ransom. So it's just really, when I think about the mission, and particularly those that are coming out of military service, for me, coming from the government, transitioning over, it really was all about how can I continue to help? How can I be part of the mission? How can I add value and do something that's good in an environment where I can make a living successfully and still really focus on protecting good people from bad things. So our whole focus is about stopping the breach, stopping the bad guys from getting in, helping companies stay up and running, allowing them to continue to operate and be successful. The technology that we use today, Chris, the internet, it's probably the greatest invention in our lifetime. And we want to continue to embrace it, continue to use it. Everybody should take advantage of that. The effectiveness and the efficiencies that it provides for our life is really important. But we've got to keep it up and running and make sure that people's data is safe, it's secure, people have privacy. Those are the types of things we deal with on a daily basis. And it really is an incredible organization I'm happy to be with now, as I mentioned, in my 9th year. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. What an amazing mission, amazing company. And I love that, really on the front lines of today's engagement with really where we're going in the future. So, Shawn, with you, there at CrowdStrike, you're not just the president, you're not just the chief security officer. The thing I think that's really fun that brought us here with you is that you're also the executive sponsor for the Veterans Employee Resources Group there at CrowdStrike. So, I'd love to hear, in your position, your role, with all that you're doing, what made you want to personally take on that role as the executive sponsor with the Veterans ERG?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll say I personally am not a vet, but I think a lot of my time, 24 years in the government, I worked extensively with the military, with all branches, My father is a former Marine. My brother's a former Marine. So I've always had incredible respect and appreciation for military service. I took a different route in my life, but I certainly had the honor and the privilege of working with military personnel, not just in the U.S., but actually globally in my time in the Bureau. I think as the executive sponsor for that group, I've always been a huge proponent of hiring people based on their character and their qualifications in terms of who they are as a person. A lot of times, of course, we do need people who have the right technical skills. That's always important. But if you don't have those core skills, those core capabilities, those core personality characteristics, then you're not a good fit, I think. And I overwhelmingly, the people I've worked with in the military, that sense of responsibility, the sense of commitment, the sense of passion, they're about the mission. And then they've got those skills that help to enable you to be successful in the mission. It's just something that when I see somebody who's former military, in my mind, it really, when I'm starting to talk to them, I have a preconceived notion, a very positive perspective on who they are based on their experience, based on the skills and the expertise they've developed in the service. And I think that so many of those things translate to what we do in the private sector. And the opportunity to coordinate with folks in my company that are veterans, the opportunity to bring those folks on to the extent that they fit into the company. Certainly their history in the military for me is a big plus, and I'm just really honored to be the executive sponsor at CrowdStrike for that program, Chris.
Wow, that's really awesome. You know, as a veteran myself, I can say I know I appreciate, and I think I speak for probably a significant volume of people saying I appreciate you taking that kind of a responsibility on. Having that kind of senior management executive leadership take responsibility and personal engagement in the veteran space inside a company just makes all the difference in the world. So thank you for doing that and appreciate it. So JC, you know, we got a lot of service members who they're familiar, you know, with some of the CrowdStrike product lines, and maybe we've got people who've worked in cyber and they're there. But of course, CrowdStrike is a global company, and it has more than just keyboards and coders out there. What types of jobs and career opportunities does CrowdStrike really have?
Oh gosh, it's we have jobs across just about every job function you could think of a technology company would have. We're hiring across every single function from our G&A groups and finance and accounting and in HR. Obviously engineering and sales roles are abundant, but for us, it's we have folks in marketing and professional services and the rest. And so while we're known as a product company and with a lot of engineering and obviously folks to go out and sell it, we have a tremendous amount of folks who support our customers on a daily basis, who market the product, who work with our sales teams to look at the industry and do all of that work. And a big part of Shawn's team is out implementing products and making sure that our customers are getting the best value out of their investment. So it runs the gamut in terms of the jobs that are available at CrowdStrike. We've been fairly lucky through this pandemic that we've continued to hire. Over I think close to 2,700 CrowdStrikers around the world now, in over 20 countries. So not only here in the U.S. but globally, we've continued to build the workforce. I would encourage folks to have a look at CrowdStrike.com. We post every single job out there. And folks can get in touch directly there, or obviously through HireMilitary, as we talk about the internship program.
Let me add, if I can, to you, JC. And I know it's difficult times. We talk about what the world post COVID-19 looks like, and the unemployment reports that came out today. Another 2+ million folks that are unemployed, and maybe 30 million here just in the last few weeks. We're actually hiring, to JC's point. Because actually, one of the things that COVID-19 has done is it's pushed companies to have their employees work from home, which from a technology perspective and a security perspective means that the stakes have gone up a bit, if you will. The adversaries are targeting employees at home. The adversaries are targeting and taking advantage of the disparate and dispersed workforce, and they're trying to use that as an opportunity to get into companies because people are so widely dispersed and they're not under necessarily the corporate stack. So from our perspective, I think it's a type of thing that creates an environment for continued opportunities, and we're going to continue to hire. And as JC mentioned, CrowdStrike.com, we've got so many positions available across such a wide genre that folks should be able to, depending, regardless of their expertise, be able to find something that is a fit for them.
There we go. So, I apologize on my end. I was getting a little bit of an audio issue there. Hopefully, you guys were doing okay. But I really, it is an amazing time, and I love that we're still in a let's hire more mode. And so, my apologies if I missed something on that, Shawn, on my audio side. But I do want to ask. One of the things in looking, there was this really, really broad one team, one fight theory that you bring into the company, and it's really a passion of yours. And so, I know that sort of theory resonates well with service members, and I'd love to hear how does that expand across the global CrowdStrike team?
Oh, thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it because it's something that's important to me. I certainly did not coin the phrase, but I've completely embraced it going back to my time in the Bureau. I found myself, especially as a leader, sometimes, not always. I had the pleasure of working with incredible men and women in the government who were all about the mission and were trying to do the right thing. But periodically, I'd come across little fiefdoms or people that were in their silos, and it was one of those things that just constantly annoyed me. Where people were focused on what was good for them or their team rather than what was good for the overall objective of the organization, what was overall good for, in this particular case, the United States, rather than their unit or the FBI itself, but what was good for the overall team. As I transitioned to CrowdStrike, I started talking to folks. When I came here, I was employee number 19. Now, as JC said, about 2,700 people. So I've really watched the company grow up. And I use that term with people in various functions, one team, one fight. And it really has kind of carried across to many people coming into the company. And it's part of our culture. And essentially what it is we've got an objective as a mission, as an organization, we've got an objective, right? That's the fight, overcoming our adversaries, supporting our customers, whatever the particular mission is for the organization on a particular day. And we work together as one team. It's not what's good for you in the sales team or what's good for you in the engineering team or what's good for you on the professional services team. It's what can each of us do in our respective business units to achieve the objective we've identified. One team, one fight. And I think that, it's human nature sometimes to think about what's good for you. People get a little selfish, not always with malicious intent, but it happens sometimes. And I think just that phrase resonates with people, and it's a reminder. If you get down the road where you're thinking about what's good for your business unit, you think about, oh, hold on a minute. The culture is one team, one fight. We need to be focused on the overall objective. And I do think it's something, Chris, that resonates with our friends in the service and the military, because a lot of folks I know, I've talked to folks and worked with folks, they've bumped into similar constraints and obstacles, and this is the type of message that really resonates with them.
Now, I'll just add, it's incredibly powerful and very simple to understand. It just works, and it goes all the way through how we lead on a daily basis. Shawn talks about it in terms of each mission and the one team, one fight mantra having a place there. We talk about it, from an HR perspective, broadly. How do we align all of our goals towards that one singular mission of stopping breaches? So it's very powerful. Definitely in the culture. We use it in our hiring discussions. We use it in performance feedback all the time. So it's great, and I love that Shawn has brought that to life.
It's a very strong, powerful message, and I think you're right, Shawn. It resonates so well with veterans that you have a company culture where that really embraces it. That culture of veteran employment and veterans on board with the company right now, which I love. So, from your perspective, what do you feel makes veterans a strong candidate, really such a good fit with CrowdStrike?
Well, Chris, from my side, I think Shawn had touched on it a bit earlier, but we just find that veterans, as they come into these roles, and going to a company like CrowdStrike, are super well trained and just understand how teamwork happens. I think that the ability to focus and be disciplined teammates as a part of a team like CrowdStrike is super powerful. I think it reduces the time for people to get ramped up, right? You're never confused about how to run a team, how to operate in a way where you have to think about your constituents often. You look after one another. I think those traits and that training that I've seen in my experience come from veterans that have entered the workforce is amazing. It's less training to do on our side. In fact, it's just it's a way for us to bring talent on a lot faster, in my view. And if you think about again the alignment to protecting our customers, there's just so many similarities in what happens in the service and what we do, I think, as a company for our customers. And so there's a natural fit there that I find more often than not is a huge value on both sides.
That's spectacular. I appreciate that. And, Shawn, obviously, as we mentioned before, with your extensive background in the FBI and transitioning from that federal sector into the commercial sector, you've got some great experience. There's going to be lots of transitioning service members watching this, and they get lots of pieces of advice, and sometimes it's hard to know who to follow or what to take on board. I think you are probably a great resource. So, specific to those who are in their transition right now, if you had just, one piece of advice to give them as they turn into veterans and job seekers, what do you think that might be?
Well, I have lots of pieces of advice, so I'll try to keep it to more than one, but less than 10.
Okay.
First of all, I think that coming from the government service to the private sector service, there are certainly differences, but there are a lot of similarities too. So I think it's not to be afraid, right, of the transition. Embrace it. It's something to be excited about. I think in government service, things are oftentimes very clearly defined on what you're supposed to do, lots of policies and procedures. My experience as I transitioned to the private sector was there was a lot more latitude. I could be innovative. I could be creative. Certainly I would always do things ethically and legally and morally, which we always have to do regardless of what side of the fence we're on. There's a lot more opportunity for flexibility and for the ability to be creative there. So I would say embrace that. I'd also say rely on all the great instincts you developed in the service. I believe that life is about attitude. And if you've got the right attitude, you can overcome anything. And conversely, with the wrong attitude, you're going to fail. And I think when you come into a new environment, it's about being open-minded, being innovative, being willing to put your hand up and volunteer to jump into a situation or to take on a new requirement or a new workload. The same types of things you did in the military to be successful in the military. And so my transition was, I believe, relatively easy. I know a number of folks I've worked with that had a bit more of a challenging time. But I really believe that it's about attitude. It's about just being kind of wide-eyed and eager and enthusiastic. Again, a lot of the same characteristics we've seen in our service veterans while they were in the military. Those things carry over. The last thing I'll mention is, because I can't say it often enough, it's the mission piece. There are a lot of things that motivate people to work, and they might be motivated by money. They might be motivated by by a particular interest. I think that in our case, so many of our folks are motivated by the mission, and I just cannot underestimate how important that is. And I really do think when you come over from the military into the private sector, find the mission that's a good fit for you, that every Monday morning you're excited to go to work. Sunday night, you're not dreading it, you're actually excited because you feel like you're contributing to an overarching problem, and you're solving problems and you're making a difference, and you're part of the fight as one team. How about that?
I love it. Nice tie-in too. I like the way you brought that back around there. So speaking of transition, this is a great point to transition to. Really, I mean, what brought all us together in conversation was HireMilitary and CrowdStrike partnering to bring the DoD Skill Bridge program and opportunities into CrowdStrike. And Shawn, you've been such a huge proponent of DoD Skill Bridge and bringing it inside the organization, partnering with HireMilitary. Could you tell us a little bit about what makes specifically the DoD Skill Bridge program attractive to you and to CrowdStrike as a team?
Well, I may defer here to JC, but I think it's a lot of what we talked about in terms of the capabilities that folks possess, the similar sense of mission and purpose, and the ability for us to identify the right people who maintain or possess those skills, people who are eager to learn, who have that sense of enthusiasm and that positive attitude. JC, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, to echo that. Plus, I just think as we continue to find a shortage in talent, especially in cyber, we want to build our network as well, right? And trusted partners on the hiring front as well. And it's our way to kind of give back to the service as well. We find that to be super important. When we're hiring, call it 100 people a month, the more we know what we're getting into, the easier it is for us to build that talent faster. Those are the reasons why we look to partner with partners such as yourselves, Chris, and open up the network. I should say, open up the network to great talent. We find that to be super valuable.
That's spectacular. And, for those out there who are interested, DoD Skill Bridge at CrowdStrike, they've really been opening some amazing opportunities. I will add remote internship opportunities are available. And Jason Willett is on the stream with us right now, and you can connect with him to learn more about those. And I'm sure he'll tell you, and the CrowdStrike team will fill you in. But DoD Skill Bridge is such a great opportunity to get your foot in the door at this amazing company. And we're really glad to have that opportunity. But that's not the only way for a veteran to get a job. JC, I know you mentioned that the careers page at CrowdStrike has a lot more opportunities. If somebody was interested in just an opportunity for a direct hire, is that the place for them to start, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely, a great place to start. I think that my advice would be do your research, be active on kind of what the company is up to. There's a way to follow us on LinkedIn or follow the press releases and the rest. Certainly use your networks. I'm happy to put folks in touch directly with our recruiting team if that's of interest. We get a ton of applications every single day, and we're always looking for great talent. So direct is good as well, but we're really looking forward to a long partnership here.
Excellent. And I know our HireMilitary team is eager to serve as a conduit to help. So, for our transitioning service members and veterans out there, feel free to reach out to Jason or our team, and they'll help set you up. So, I want to take a look at just a couple questions. There's been a number of questions in the stream from many people, Chase Spears and others, really sort of wondering, if I wanted to get into cybersecurity, obviously it's a great field for the future and a growing field for the future. So, Shawn, maybe you'd be a good one to answer, or I'll let you guys tell me. But what would you say is a great way to get your foot in the door if you're a transitioning service member, or you're a veteran, or even anyone else who wants to get started in the cybersecurity realm?
So So I think the questioner is probably asking specifically about cybersecurity, but let me add something here. People ask me all the time, how do I get into the FBI, or if I want to be an FBI agent? And I can tell them specifically how to be an FBI agent, but there's so many supporting roles within the FBI. So when I'll talk about now, how do you get into security? There are a lot of courses you can take online. So the SANS, Systems Administrators Network Security, SANS, is one place that provides online courses so you can introduce yourself and learn about technology. A lot of people teach themselves, or they get these internships that allow them to get their foot in the door. But to JC's point, you can be in cybersecurity and not be the very, very technical person because you're supporting the mission some other way, right? Just like in the service, if you're a sailor deployed on a ship, or if you're somebody in a back office that's doing payroll or helping to work supply line and those sorts of things, you're still contributing to the mission. So if you're talking specifically about technology, there are a lot of online courses you can take. There are in-person courses that you can take. It's all about training, and you've got to learn that. You can certainly self-teach. A lot of folks that do that as well, but you can still be part of the mission by getting connected to a company in a supporting role that doesn't necessarily do the hands-on technology, but actually supports the overall mission of protecting networks from bad people.
Yeah, I would echo those.
I appreciate that. And,
yeah,
go
sorry,
ahead,
I was
please,
just
Jesse.
gonna say, I mean, I'm certainly not the most technical person on the planet, but I love the mission that we are on. A lot of times folks who would be transitioning into maybe wanting to be a developer could start their career in a customer success part of the business, where you're more on the front lines of supporting products and engagements that we've got going today, as they work on maybe if their interest is more in development. So I just thought I would add that bit to Shawn's comments.
No, I really appreciate that. I appreciate those insights. And there's actually a number of questions in the stream, and I know we're starting to get down on our time, so I'll leave those. And I know that there's members of the CrowdStrike team that are in the stream and able to connect and answer some of those. And our HireMilitary team will reach out as well. But I did want to share, because there's one comment that I thought maybe Shawn and JC you'd love. Is Don Nguyen did put a comment in the stream, says, I've used your CrowdStrike team in the Irvine office, and they are super incident response groups. So I just thought I'd share that comment out of the stream with you there as a positive. But we'll definitely make sure that we engage with folks out of the rest of those. But as we sort of wrap it up, JC, I'm going to ask you to put on your CHRO hat here for a second, and reaching out to our transitioning service members and veterans, and if you had sort of one insider tip for them, whether that's setting up the right resume, interviewing skill, whatever it may be, if you have one insider tip for them, what would that be?
For me, it's be passionate about what you want to go do. There's a ton of jobs out there. I think there's a ton of industries and companies to be a part of. And Shawn made the point way earlier on. Boy, if you can combine something that you're passionate about with the work, it's not going to feel like work too much, right? Because you're invested in the company, you're invested in what we do for our customers. When it comes to I always love to look at talent that feel like it's going to be a career for them, not just a job, right? So it's a career. It's even better if it's their calling, if it's something that just comes so naturally. You want to go be a part of one team, one fight, and it's not for everyone. I'll be the first to say that. But if this is a place that resonates, the mission resonates, the space that we're in resonates, be passionate about it. And show that. Do your research. Listen to the earnings calls. We're a public company now. There's a lot of information out there. That would be my insider tip. That passion that you bring to a conversation, that matters.
Awesome. That's a great tip, because I think that's something that everyone needs to hear as you bring that forward. If you can connect and make that connection with passion and an understanding of the mission of the team, that's such a difference maker. So, I appreciate it. And Shawn, we're obviously so appreciative of the time we've had here with you today. So, I suppose maybe the best thing to wrap up would leave it with you. Do you have any closing thoughts or things that you'd like to share with the audience?
I do have closing thoughts, and it's about us getting ready to embark on Memorial Day weekend, and how important it is to remember our service members who've perished in the line of duty, who've made the ultimate sacrifice so that everyday Americans can have a hot dog and go to the beach free from fear of an adversary. And I have just tremendous respect and appreciation for everybody who's made that sacrifice, who has committed themselves to putting others before them, and the overall appreciation we have at CrowdStrike for everything our service members do. To the extent we have an opportunity to connect with some folks who can bring that sense of mission and purpose here, we'd love that opportunity. And I just want to thank everybody that you have, certainly mine, and I know I can speak for JC, our tremendous respect and appreciation for everything that you've done on behalf of our country. And we hope that you'll continue with us. One team, one fight.
Spectacular. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Really appreciate your time today. Really appreciate your dedication to what you're doing to veteran support and veteran cause and hiring and making CrowdStrike a strong spot. So folks, for those of you who didn't catch it, we've been spending the time today with JC Herrera, the Chief Human Resources Officer for CrowdStrike, and Shawn Henry, the President of the Services Division and the Chief Security Officer for CrowdStrike. Really been privileged to have you both today, and I thank you, and I hope you both have an amazing holiday weekend ahead and stay safe and well, and I look forward to talking again soon.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.